Exposing the darkness in history, we delve into the lives and actions of some of the most dangerous leaders the world has ever known. These individuals, through their ruthless pursuit of power and control, have left indelible marks on the fabric of human history. Their legacies are not just tales of ambition and governance, but are also grim reminders of the catastrophic consequences of unchecked authority and extremist ideologies. I will show you how these figures left a trail of destruction. Their actions, driven by a combination of ideological fervor, personal ambition, and often a complete disregard for human life, resulted in immense suffering and loss. The scars they left behind are still visible today, in the form of ruined cities, devastated landscapes, and the haunting memories of those who lived through their reigns. Adolf Hitler, leader of Nazi Germany, orchestrated the Holocaust, causing the deaths of 6 million Jews and millions of others during World War II. His rise to power was marked by a combination of charismatic oratory, ruthless political maneuvering, and the exploitation of economic and social unrest in post-World War I Germany. Hitler's vision of a racially pure Aryan state led to the implementation of policies that systematically targeted Jews, Romani people, disabled individuals, political dissidents, and other groups deemed undesirable by the Nazi regime. The concentration camps where millions were imprisoned, tortured, and killed stand as stark reminders of the depths of human cruelty. Joseph Stalin's totalitarian regime in the Soviet Union led to purges, forced labor camps, and famines, resulting in around 20 million deaths. Stalin's rule was characterized by a relentless consolidation of power, achieved through widespread purges of perceived enemies within the Communist Party, the military, and the general population. The Great Purge, a campaign of political repression, saw hundreds of thousands executed and millions more sent to the Gulag labor camps. Additionally, Stalin's policies, such as the forced collectivization of agriculture, led to widespread famine, most notably the Holodomor in Ukraine, where millions perished from starvation. Mao Zedong, leader of the Communist Party of China, implemented policies that caused tens of millions of deaths through famine and persecution. Mao's vision of transforming China into a socialist utopia led to radical and often disastrous policies. The Great Leap Forward, an attempt to rapidly industrialize and collectivize agriculture, resulted in one of the deadliest famines in human history, with estimates of the death toll ranging from 15 to 45 million. The Cultural Revolution, another of Mao's initiatives, aimed to purge capitalist and traditional elements from Chinese society, leading to widespread persecution, imprisonment, and death. Pol Pot's regime in Cambodia was responsible for the genocide of nearly 2 million people through execution, forced labor, and starvation. As the leader of the Khmer Rouge, Pol Pot sought to create an agrarian socialist society, which involved the forced evacuation of cities, the abolition of money and private property, and the establishment of collective farms. The regime's brutal policies led to mass executions, forced labor, and starvation, with the infamous killing fields becoming a symbol of the atrocities committed during this dark period in Cambodian history. Osama bin Laden, founder of Al-Qaeda, orchestrated the 9/11 attacks, killing nearly 3,000 people and igniting a global war on terror. Bin Laden's radical Islamist ideology and his ability to inspire and organize followers led to a series of terrorist attacks around the world. The September 11th, 2001 attacks on the United States, which saw hijacked planes crash into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and a field in Pennsylvania, marked a turning point in global security and counterterrorism efforts. The subsequent war on terror has had far-reaching implications, affecting international relations, domestic policies, and the lives of countless individuals. Saddam Hussein, dictator of Iraq, committed mass atrocities, including the genocide of the Kurdish people and the invasion of Kuwait. Saddam's regime was marked by brutal repression, widespread human rights abuses, and aggressive military actions. The Anfal campaign against the Kurdish population in the late 1980s involved the use of chemical weapons, mass executions, and forced displacements, resulting in the deaths of tens of thousands. In 1990, Saddam's invasion of Kuwait led to the Gulf War, drawing international condemnation and military intervention. His rule left a legacy of violence and instability in the region. Idi Amin's dictatorship in Uganda was marked by extreme human rights abuses and killings, resulting in up to 500,000 deaths. Amin's rise to power through a military coup in 1971 ushered in a reign of terror characterized by political repression, ethnic persecution, and economic mismanagement. His regime targeted various ethnic groups, political opponents, and perceived enemies, leading to widespread violence and the creation of mass graves. Amin's erratic and brutal rule left Uganda in a state of turmoil and suffering. Kim Jong-un continues his family's brutal regime in North Korea, characterized by severe repression and human rights abuses. Since taking power in 2011, Kim Jong-un has maintained the oppressive policies of his predecessors, including strict control over the population, widespread surveillance, and the use of prison camps for political dissidents. The regime's propaganda machine promotes a cult of personality around the Kim family, while the general population suffers from poverty, lack of freedom, and fear of punishment. International concerns about North Korea's nuclear ambitions and human rights record continue to shape global diplomacy. Vladimir Lenin's leadership during the Bolshevik Revolution led to widespread repression and civil war, causing millions of deaths. Lenin's vision of a communist state involved the overthrow of the existing government and the establishment of a dictatorship of the proletariat. The Russian Civil War, which followed the Bolshevik seizure of power in 1917, saw brutal fighting between the Red Army and various anti-Bolshevik forces. Lenin's policies, including the Red Terror campaign, involved mass arrests, executions, and the suppression of political opposition. The upheaval and violence of this period had lasting impacts on Russia and the wider world. King Leopold II of Belgium exploited the Congo Free State, leading to the deaths of an estimated 10 million Congolese people. Leopold's personal control over the Congo was marked by extreme exploitation and brutality. The extraction of rubber and other resources was carried out through forced labor, with workers subjected to harsh conditions, mutilations, and killings for failing to meet quotas. The international outcry over the atrocities in the Congo eventually led to reforms, but the legacy of Leopold's rule remains a dark chapter in colonial history. These infamous figures remind us of the horrors of absolute power and extremist ideologies. Their actions, driven by a combination of ideological zeal, personal ambition, and often a complete disregard for human life, resulted in immense suffering and loss. The scars they left behind are still visible today in the form of ruined cities, devastated landscapes, and the haunting memories of those who lived through their reigns. The lessons of their rule are crucial for understanding the dangers of unchecked authority and the importance of vigilance in protecting human rights and freedoms. Their legacies serve as stark warnings throughout history. The monuments and memorials dedicated to the victims of these regimes stand as reminders of the need to remember and learn from the past. Educational exhibits on totalitarianism and human rights abuses help to ensure that future generations understand the importance of safeguarding democracy, justice, and human dignity. By studying the lives and actions of these dangerous leaders, we can better appreciate the value of freedom and the necessity of standing against tyranny in all its forms.